These are the chilling details of the scariest clown story ever told. In 2014, a babysitter had just tucked the kids in and was sitting down to watch some TV while she waited for the parents to return. As she was flipping through the channels, she started getting the eerie feeling, almost like she was being watched. She glanced around the room, and her eyes eventually settled on a mysterious figure in the corner of the room. As she looked closer, she realized it was a life-sized clown statue, standing still and staring right at her. She'd never noticed it there before, and it seemed rather strange, to say the least. Definitely not the kind of thing most of us would consider as household decor. She felt a chill run down her spine and wondered what the clown was doing there, and why she hadn't seen it the other times she had babysat. She quickly turned her attention back to the TV, not wanting to linger too long on the creepy clown for fear that she'd freak herself out. Still, she couldn't resist glancing over at it every now and then. The clown's blank stare was making her increasingly uneasy, so she moved to another seat in an attempt to distance herself from the unsettling presence. But no matter how many times she moved from one spot to the next, she could not escape the feeling that every movement was being tracked by a pair of watchful eyes. The babysitter's anxiety melted into relief when her phone started ringing. The kids' father had called to check on them and let the babysitter know that they were on their way back home. She informed him that everything was fine and that the children are already asleep. Then, feeling slightly more at ease, she decided to ask about the odd clown statue in the living room. It wasn't really the kind of thing you see every day, after all. The father went quiet on the other end of the line. It was the kind of silence that felt like a bad omen. When he finally spoke again, his voice sounded confused and a little alarmed as he told her that the family didn't even own a clown statue. All at once, the babysitter's vague uneasiness turned into pure horror. If she wasn't looking at a statue, what was she looking at? And then it finally dawned on her. If it wasn't a statue, that meant it had to be a person. And more specifically, it had to be a person that managed to break into the house. In spite of her intense fear, the babysitter wasted no time in taking action. She dropped her phone and ran up the stairs to wake the children. Then quickly ushered them to safety outside. After they made it out unscathed, the babysitter went to take her phone out of her pocket so she could call the police. But there was just one problem with that plan. She was so focused on getting the kids out of the house that she hadn't thought to retrieve her phone after she dropped it. For obvious reasons, she was reluctant to go back inside the house to get it, so she rushed to a neighbor's home and asked them to call 911 instead. A short while later, the police arrived and began to search the house for any trace of an intruder. The babysitter sat with the children, attempting to keep them calm as they waited for the cops to clear the premises. After what felt like an eternity, the officers emerged from the house with their suspect, who was still wearing the sinister clown mask. After putting the clown in handcuffs and sitting him in the back of a cruiser, one of the cops turned towards the babysitter. His face was almost ghostly white as he explained that they found the clown hiding under one of the kids' beds. And to make a more horrifying situation even more horrific, the officer showed her the sharpened screwdriver that the clown had apparently meant to use as a weapon. The babysitter was in shock at the sight of it. She could barely grasp the idea that the clown had broken in to begin with, let alone that he brought a weapon that he may or may not have planned to use. The officers quickly put the clown in the car and drove away, leaving the babysitter standing in the driveway with the kids, still deeply shaken from the ordeal. I really